Hello folks, welcome back to Java Object Oriented Programming, and we are continuing our discussion with encapsulation. Constructor. Constructor is also one of the member method of the class, just like we saw set length, get length, etc. methods. The major difference between constructor and other member methods of the class is the member methods can have any name, whereas the constructor can have only exactly the same name as the class name. And many of the cases, constructor defined with the public access. This kind of constructor, sometimes it have parameters and sometimes it won't have parameters. The another difference between constructor and other methods is the other methods can be called with the instantiated reference variable, but the constructor called only with the new keyword. Other member methods can be called as many times the developer wanted, whereas the constructor called only once with the new keyword. And one more interesting point about the constructor is every Java class will have a constructor given by Java. This Java given implicit constructor is only available when the developer did not give any constructor. Once, if the developer has given any constructor, maybe with parameters or without parameters, the Java given no parameter constructor is disabled, is not available for this particular class. Now let us try to understand these concepts in action. Okay, so this is our rectangle class, and these are the member methods of the class. Now, along with all these member methods, we can have constructor. So the constructor public, as we discussed, public access. The class name is the rectangle. In this rectangle method, that is the constructor, I am simply writing a display message object created. That's all, object created. Now, when this constructor is executed, as the result of you call this new rectangle. Whenever object has created, this constructor is called. Earlier, before I am defining this constructor here in the rectangle class, still I have created objects, but there is no constructor. How the constructor call succeeded without showing an error message? Java given constructor is available for this class. When the developer did not give any constructor, Java given implicit constructor is available for this class. Okay, now let us try to compile this program and execute to see the output. Java C rectangle.java, the continuation Java C use rectangle. Yes, reuse rectangle we need not to compile because we did not change the use rectangle class, but to ensure, I did not remember whether after previous execution for any other purposes I may modify this use rectangle class. So to prevent that slippage or gap, I am recompiling use rectangle as well. Now Java space use rectangle, now you get the output. See here how many times I have created object of rectangle class. See here, 4th and 5th lines. So these 4th and 5th lines causes these two lines of output, object created and object created. This constructor don't have any parameters. Let us try to understand another constructor, that is constructor with parameters. Here every rectangle object requires parameters. For those parameters, we are forced to use set dimensions method like this. Otherwise, do we have any other option? Yes, let us try to see. Set length, set breadth. Okay, if you don't want to call this one method, you have to call these two methods with the rectangle object. So again, this is not feasible approach or feasible solution the problem raised. Then what is the solution? What can be the solution? If every rectangle requires values, they are dimensions, Why we should pass those values with the other method instead? Can we pass them to the constructor? Yes, exactly. That idea encourages us to think towards constructor with parameters. Okay, let us try to implement that. This is constructor. Actually, here I have displayed a simple message, but this is hardly required to display messages from the constructor. Here, just to understand the flow in the execution, I have used the display message here, but it is not going to happen in production context. Now, rectangle constructor have two parameters. They are double L and double B. Now, the member variables, what are the member variables? Length equals to the argument L. The another member variable breadth equals to the argument B. Now, once if I modify like this, and then I have compiled the program, Java C space rectangle. Yes, now here another important point here, you straight away compile use rectangle. You don't need to compile rectangle in a separate line. Directly you compile the application, what all required classes to compile that class, that is rectangle.java, will be automatically compiled. See here, it is showing an error. What is that error? Rectangle R1 is calling new rectangle of. Yes. What is the error here? Constructor rectangle in class rectangle class cannot be applied to the given types. For this given types, this constructor cannot be used. The constructor required two parameters of double type, but you are not passing those two parameters. Reason is actual and formal parameters list differs in the length. Actual parameters length and formal parameters length is not matching. So what we have to do here? Go to your application and pass parameters to the constructor you have called 8.5 and 6.3 and 8.0 and 6.0. Now you need not to call these two methods. They are set dimensions with 8.5, 6.3 and set dimensions with 8.0 and 6.0 is not required. Now, as the result of you define parameter constructor here, Java given even no parameter constructor disabled. The developer may define constructor with parameters or without parameters, but Java given implicit constructor is disabled for this class. Okay, now after modifying these two lines, let us recompile and execute the program. Java C straight away use rectangle. Did you notice I have modified the rectangle class? I am modifying use rectangle class, but I am compiling only use rectangle class. Rectangle automatically getting compiled. I'm not separately compiling. Java space use rectangle and hit enter. Now this time it is working. So this is about constructor. Thank you for watching.